John from Reason Revival. I want to talk briefly about the crisis of our situation with police and American neighborhoods, and talk about how we can aspire to be better and we can do better. We can see a positive ripple effect across our communities if we finally decide to stop listening to ideologues, stop listening to political pundits and rabble-rousers and armchair experts, and start listening to the people that actually know what they're talking about. Let's start listening to our veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan who are well-versed in counterinsurgency and working with local populations and with building a rapport and a respectful relationship with people in vastly different cultures and across language barriers. Let's start talking to our social scientists. Let's start listening to lifetime community builders and lifetime community residents from these neighborhoods. And let's build a dialogue across police, across Black Lives Matter, and across the left and the right in a way that throws ideology into the dustbin of history where it belongs and builds an active conversation based around facts, evidence, skepticism, and more humanizing ways to traverse these differences and have conversations, and to show the best practices that really work, the best practices and the best ways to go into a community or a village, whether we're talking about the mountains of Kunar province or Nangarhar province where Allah is in Afghanistan, or you're talking about Baghdad, Iraq, or you're talking about any number of neighborhoods here in the U.S. There's a tapestry of human terrain and of human geography and diversity of culture and social demographics. But one common factor is that despite these differences, despite the differences, the nuances, and the rugged edges of the human and social terrain we have to navigate, there are better ways to approach communities. There are better and worse ways. One of the worst ways is to isolate and marginalize the population and fundamentally build a wall of distrust with the community you're in. And there are times when it's not possible to build this kind of rapport. I understand that. There are neighborhoods where police will never connect with certain segments of the population. I understand that. At the same time, we can do far better than we're doing now. And when a soldier or a police officer is, whether they're in a war zone or they're in an American community, many of which have devolved into war zones, when there's a fundamental distrust between them and the community they're in, and they, instead of building a rapport or building a kind of respectful relationship with the people they need to be talking to, they're fundamentally isolating the people in the area, and especially the key leaders. This creates a situation that is worse for everybody. It's worse for the people in the community. It's worse for the people in uniform who want to go home to their families. Nobody wins for this situation. This is called a zero-sum game. Let's find a way to create a non-zero, which is essentially a cooperative arrangement where everybody is better off. And with proper training, proper reevaluation of our policies, and a shift in mindset away from this militarization of police across communities, and ways based on social science, based on proven methods of counterinsurgency and special warfare. People from Iraq and Afghanistan, people who are seasoned experts in how to work with populations. We have a playbook on how to do this. And even though it's not always possible, we can be a light year ahead of where we are now. And we can accomplish this in a few years or less. We have to start being willing to listen to our veterans, to our scientists, to our community builders, and to people in these neighborhoods, and find better ways. Let's interview the police. Let's talk to retired police officers. Let's break down this blue shield and this wall of segregated conversation. This wall of silence is not good for anyone. And most cops know this privately, and they feel like they're unable to say it publicly. We have to start creating a positive ripple effect. To quote a philosopher named Dan Dennett, we have to create a hall of recursive mirrors in which people start to see that many other people privately share their views, and they're more willing to speak out and call bullshit on the status quo. As a veteran, I will not stand for this. People in communities won't stand for this. Police won't stand for this. We are better than this, and we can do better. And I refuse to see my country devolve into a war zone. I would rather be shot at and die anywhere in the world than see my country devolve into a war zone. That will not happen. We must stand up against this. Veterans, police, blacks, whites, and communities in solidarity, and refuse to cede to the status quo. We can do better, and we will do better. And I propose we build a conversation across alternate media and across our neighborhoods and bring these groups together and find ways to bridge this gap. Thank you.